Welcome to the Ascension Alchemist podcast. This is your hostess, Reverend Honey Borden. I am so excited to be here with you. This is a community of believers in God Almighty and the presence of God Almighty, living through that incredible gift that is bestowed upon us, and our walk in embodying that divine gift inside. It is no joke as a community to walk this as we all know it, yet there is no other way because we have remembered who we are and how beautiful it is to have a community where we can be faith-filled and allow more of God Almighty into these bodies, walk this human journey, and remember that with God Almighty everything is possible. And this is truly an opposite way of living with majority of us, where we used to live from the muscle of our human self and all the challenges that came with it, right? So we're still experiencing that. So let's talk about that today. Today's topic I really want to get into is coming off Thanksgiving, and now we are in this last month of December, last month of 2025, and everything that we have experienced this year together. What you have gone through, what I have gone through, what we have gone through. Let's take a moment and just take a moment in reflection. Who are we now from 3 months ago, from 6 months ago, from 9 months ago, from nearly a year ago? Are you somebody else? Are you a greater version of yourself? Are you more in love with the way you're showing up in life? How are you meeting the struggles? Because what I really wanted to talk about is what I spoke about in today's Sunday service, which is about joy in the struggles. Because let's face it, the human journey comes with struggles. We all know that. And for most of our life, we have allowed the struggles be the way of life, the interpretation of life, the communication of life, the decision makers of life. And for those of you who are part of this podcast, or those of you who are members of our association, which we started 3 years ago, this week, we're getting ready to go into January as the 4th year. It is all focused on, okay, here's this muscle of the human self, but the human is the human. Here as us as a community that have remembered who we are. We've remembered we're also divine. We're God Almighty beings. We're not God Almighty beings, but we are part of God Almighty beings in these human form. God Almighty has created us, and here we are in these forms, and we're here to live from that truth. What does it mean to embody that truth? What does it mean to allow that incredible presence to meet these human challenges so the challenges can come in? And it's a different walk when we walk this. It's a lot easier. It's a lot more joyful. It's a lot more room in there to breathe. It's the struggles are not mountains. They're more like little hilltops. And the resources are much more accessible to us. Support is greater. And it's just much more uplifting. And this is certainly what has been the walk for myself, because I knew this had to become. And also what's been brought to our private member association, which I really welcome you. If you are not part of our association, you have to become a member of our association, especially if you've been looking for a community that is really about heart-centeredness. It's pure, it's clean, it's all about the focus of God Almighty to stand stronger in there. And especially during the challenges time that you go through, there's a place that you know, okay, here's a community of believers. What are we believing in? We're believing there is a God Almighty. and that God Almighty has created us, and that God Almighty has provided us, that God Almighty is the source of all of our supply. And with that, we can go through life in a very different way, which is more joyous, which is the truer health, the truer wealth, the truer joy, all comes from there. That's what it is. So with our association, everything that we've organized for our members is around this, especially our meditation around this, our prayer circle and daily messages. It's very, very supportive. And all that information is on our website, which if you go on ascensionalchemist.com / you'll see associations right there. You can just click and join. So it's that simple. It is a private association though. So having said that, today's topic, I had spoken about struggle. So why I brought this up, because around this time of the year, coming off of Thanksgiving, coming into the Christmas holiday and New Year, while there is this miracle of life, right? There is a celebration of family, celebration of Christmas, celebration of around the birth of Christ and all of this, yet there is a lot more sometimes struggle with families because there's the pressure of finances. There's the pressure of the wrapping up the end of the year. There's the pressure of how do I fulfill my family's needs and buying presents and all of that. Yet there's a desire to celebrate. And then there are these personal desires as individuals have. And what happens, there sometimes seem that the human is going through certain struggle. Yet, as I spoke on my Sunday service today, it is designed to bring greater awareness so God Almighty presence can lead through us. However, when the human hasn't released the space to be helped by the God Almighty presence cannot help us. And this is really important distinction. So for example, even when I go through these periods, I'm aware here's a period, it seemed to be a struggle. That means I'm trying to move out of something. My human wants to experience more freedom. And I know God Almighty has provided the freedom, and I have to open up space in me. So what does that mean? How do I open up space in me? These are that internal communication that's really, really important, to be authentic, to be real, and recognize that the struggle is just there to point us to the right direction. And we have the choice to joy through it. We don't have to suffer. This idea of suffering was embedded in us from our parents, from the culture, from upbringing, from society, and it is the biggest illusion that we're moving out of. And those of you who are part of my association, you know I speak of this quite a bit. And also sometimes on my story on Instagram, I do speak about this. And us that are part of this community and this podcast, those of you who are here, you've joined because somehow you resonate with this, right? Somehow you know, wait a minute, I know there's a deeper truth, and I want to live from that deeper truth. That deeper truth is I didn't come to earth just to suffer. I did come to experience what suffering is so I can move out of that and bring the solutions. And the solutions always are in celebration. They're never part of the struggle. The struggle has to step aside so that the celebrations come forward. And that's where that true abundant energies, that's being a prosperous life, how God Almighty allows us to then experience it. But as our human is inside a struggle, it doesn't play about. This is so interesting because have you ever noticed when you are in this place, let's say you're meeting say in this month, you're meeting some struggle. And when you're in that struggle, what happens is your energy is dipping. Because your energy is dipping, suddenly your thoughts and emotions are focused on other issues and problems. Then it seems like as if you're less supported, less provided, less cared for. So then from there, you are acting and taking steps from that place that is actually not abundant. It is not prosperous. It is not joyous. It is not celebration. Naturally, you're not experiencing that either. However, when you are experiencing this struggle and you have remembered, wait a minute, this is pointing me into the next direction. Let me pay attention to what God Almighty wants me to redirect myself. Then you have access to a different, I would call it light of information, because that's when the streaming light of God Almighty is pouring in. It's illuminating you. It's shining. It's radiant. You're able to feel the joy and celebration, and then recognizing the solution is in it. It's very different. And by the way, this is something that inside my 8 weeks private Woman of God Almighty that I share with the very, very specific keys of these key frequencies that some of you are part of. You're learning how these keys are so that you can apply it in your life. The next one is coming up January 2nd. So please be sure to reach out and join me on that. And especially if you are a woman who wants to live much more in a faith-filled, not religious, but truly filled with faith and trust in God Almighty, the creator of the universe. You want to, not universe, the one who created the universe, multiverses. I'm talking about that presence. That presence, you want to live much more aligned with that. You should join me because you are going to have such breakthroughs from it. So back to this conversation, this is the time where you have the opportunity to change the trajectory of your life by choosing the celebration of life versus the struggle of life, because that also exists. We all have a choice. It's just that when we are stuck in that struggle, we don't recognize there's a choice, and then we're acting from it, and that just feels awful. And I have fallen victim to that. Michael has as well. And the more we are paying attention to that, the more we are able to be attuned to it, more aware of it. And as a result of that awareness, we're not being stuck in it. So we're able to exercise greater and much more freedom, liberation, because there's breath in there. There's beautiful breath. And have you been breathing? Have you been breathing, dear, amazing listeners? Are you taking deeper breaths? I find that to be so helpful. Sometimes if your body tenses, especially when it comes to these moments, can you breathe deeper? For example, the other day, as my brother is visiting town and we have family, we've just been spending a lot of time with family. It was so interesting. We were going to dinner, and for 2 or 3 days, my right hand between my ring finger and middle finger inside the palm, there's just this pain. And it's so interesting. It's been sitting there. So I've been noticing it. And so grabbing, let's say, phone, grabbing door handle, all of those, it's just uncomfortable. So I was noticing that I can interpret it as a struggle, or I can invite it as a solution. What is a solution? So I can move it into celebration. That attitude is a very different attitude than looking at it that something is wrong, there's an issue, there's a problem. So I sat with it. It's like, okay, what is this? What is the solution? And the solution with my right hand is to be able to hand off some of the other responsibilities that I've been done carrying, and to let it go so that I can free my space. And this is part of the growth. Anytime we want to grow, we have to be willing to hand off the responsibility to another and trust that. And I noticed my hand, I've been holding on a little bit. Okay, I got this solution. Let me go ahead and hand it off. Let me release it. And this is all part of it. And there's something amazing when we gather with family, that family, certain things come up that point us to a certain thing that ignites certain awareness. And from that, there's a spark. That spark shines light, and that's the God Almighty that is showing us the way. And I love the perfection of this. I find it so beautiful, especially because I've remembered how to navigate this for so long. Probably some of you have felt this. I'd forgotten how to navigate. I was navigating from the human limitation, and it was so much struggle, and I was done. I was so done with struggling. I just didn't want to struggle anymore. And there was this desire, I wanted celebration, but I didn't know how to get there from one to another. And I had to make some choices. And it doesn't happen overnight. You first have to truly become aware. And this is where Michael and I really, because we've done it ourselves, we can help others. And we certainly can help you. If you're struggling still, there is help. Don't get stuck in there. Put into motion, but you do have to take the action. And let me speak of that. I have found so many times when, for example, when I was in that struggle, I wouldn't take the action because I wanted the solution, but I wasn't willing to take the action. So I wouldn't experience the solution. And I've seen this over and over in people. They want it, but they're not willing to take the action step. Yet they want it, so they can't move out of it. Sometimes when you are in this struggle space, you want to move out of it. And there's this and, you have to take that action to be able to receive the help to move out of it within the solution. That's why mentors are important. Like this year, I invested in at least 10 different incredible mentors. And all of these areas that I wanted to grow deeper, that was not about God Almighty, it was other areas, they helped me move out of them, which was amazing. So it moves you out of the struggle, which is a stuck energy, into solution. And you have to take that. But that actionable step, sometimes it seems a little bit challenging, or then we come up with our excuses and reasoning and why we can't do it, yet we want it, but why we can't, because we end up standing behind the excuses or the explanations versus, okay, this is the solution. I'm going to stand behind it. So I'm going to take this step. I'm going to go ahead and invest on myself. I'm going to invest the money on myself to get myself out of this, because I've put the prayer there, and God Almighty also responds through their people. So the prayers are there, they're answered. Let me go ahead and take this to get myself into my next, and my next is my next best. So this is how it really, really works. And you have the opportunity this December to really sit there and see, okay, how do I want things to be for me? Do I want to continue to struggle? If I'm struggling, am I thriving? Am I celebrating? Am I in a solution mindset, heart set? Am I walking towards solutions? Where am I? And how do I want it to be? You have the right to ask all of this. Just remember, God Almighty loves you. God Almighty is always providing for you. God Almighty wants the best and the greatest for you. And your job in this human body is to choose, to really choose to not want to suffer anymore. No more suffering, so you're not struggling. So you move out of that into solution and celebration. And that definitely is achievable. It's reasonable, it's accessible, and it's available to all of us. We just have to choose it. And there are people like me, there are people like Michael. We've gone through this. We help you. We'll help you come on the other side of it, because we've had to do it ourselves. You just have to give yourself opportunity to do it. So, having said that, what are some things in this moment that you're done with and you don't want to take it in 2025. That's the key. You have to decide, I'm done with it. No more. No more. When you decide you're done and no more, that's where you bring the solutions in. For example, with myself, a couple of the things was I tend to take on a large load because I am capable and I am really good at handling a whole lot of projects at the same time. And I have become aware that in doing so, I also wear myself out. So as I've brought more, although I love it, I have learned much more recently, I don't want to operate in that way. I can cut back and open space more up. And through that, the same process that I'm sharing with you, I've opened within myself. And within that, it's been so amazing because I've been able to exercise different possibilities. And I love that. I really, really, really love that. Much more time at the gym, much more time getting massages, much more time self-nourished, caring, oh my gosh, giving to myself, because my human self is also craving that. It's been so beautiful. So these are the possibilities that resides, and it's beautiful. We can't get it wrong. It is the human journey. We're discovering every step of the way. And Michael and I would love, love, love to have the opportunity to support you greater, whether we're privately mentoring you, and if you're a couple, you need that extra assistance, always you can reach out to us. Our private association is the best way to receive the highest support at the most accessible way. And also, if you are a woman of God Almighty and you want to be much more stronger in there, be sure to join my upcoming 8 weeks and learn these 8 specific frequency keys of God Almighty that you can attune to. That will be truly life transformative. That one you can email me at info@ascensionalchemists.com, and I also in the show notes put the PDF there where you can register for it. And it's all perfect. So good. So good. And the biggest thing that I want to share with you, yes, Michael and I graduated from our podcast training. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much, everyone. So we have officially, this is the 30th episode with me. Yes, yes, yes. And 650 downloads. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. Biggest surprise has been after United States, our biggest audience is Singapore. I don't know who is in Singapore. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Those of you who are in Singapore, we are so grateful. We have people from Mexico, Brazil, Nigeria. Like, it's amazing. Through podcasts, we're learning where our listeners are. The listeners that are interested in this message of God Almighty, this raw, real way, and what we're meeting. It's so exciting. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Love you all so much. Thank you for this celebration. And a takeaway for you today is just remember that you don't have to struggle. Struggle is there. You can also joy through struggle. Be sure to watch my Sunday service message today on YouTube. It will help you tremendously. And I look forward in seeing you on the next episode. And please do me a favor. Leave a comment here. Whether you're watching this or you're listening to this on Apple Podcast or Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube, leave a comment. Tell me if this touched you. Feel free to also share it. It makes a huge difference. Huge difference. And join one of our offers. We're here to support. So much love, and have a gorgeous rest of your day and an amazing week ahead. Much, much love. Remember, God Almighty loves you.